What up, world? Welcome to episode 107 of the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast, NFL Mock Draft 4.0 episode. I am your host, Anthony Wright, coming to you from the beautiful and spring-like confines of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wherever you may be watching or listening, I thank you as always. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. You can check the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Substack, Patreon, Trovo, and as well as on Podbean. Before we get into it today, guys, I want to make sure that we give a special shout out to this episode. Today is actually the 1 year anniversary of the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. It's been a full year that the show has been going. I wanted to more or less say thank you before I get into this episode. Without you guys, this wouldn't have been possible. A year ago, I was just more or less an avid sports fan, really trying my damnedest to just, get my message out there. And you guys have so far been a part of the journey with me. Continue to like, continue to share, continue to subscribe, continue to comment, continue to plug in. I love you and I thank you. I just want to make sure I got that out the way first. And also, too, I want to give a shout out to one of the friends of the show. Shout out to PlayStation Direct US. If you're looking to get a PlayStation 5 or some of the bundle packages, or just looking to check to see what's out on the website, I will have a link within the description of this. Also, too, within this video, I will also, in the description of this video, I will have the email address if you want to send me fan questions related to certain topics going on within the sports world. You want me to discuss certain things on the show, by all means, definitely you'll have that email address. You can plug in from there. But nonetheless, get into this episode. This episode, again, is NFL mock draft episode. Now, I've done a compilation of various mock drafts. I don't read everyone's mock draft. I love the draft, but you can get mock draft the fuck out very quickly. Very inundated within it. I've been very much plugged into it. So I know a lot of the guys that's kind of being projected in the first round, possible later round picks. So I've pretty much scoured NFL.com over the past week, looked at all the different authors and reporters and what their prospects and thoughts would be as far as mock drafts. A lot of tendencies that I think I noticed too as well, that's indicative of where these teams may be looking, or excuse me, at least where the media thinks these people may be looking. I also think too, one of the other great parts about this as well is that this draft, for as boring as some analysts have projected it to be and claim that, there's no wow but for a few prospects within this draft, I think this draft has a lot of intrigue to it compared to last year. Last year, you had a lot of good players in the draft, and you were just kind of excited to see where they went. This year, you're excited to see where a few players go and very interested to see how those situations play out. Not like any other year, but a little bit more this year because you don't have the plethora of talent and a bunch of the skill positions like you do in most drafts. But nonetheless, getting into all these, and again, check out all these mock drafts on NFL.com. I definitely want to make sure I give these writers and these reporters their credit. The first mock draft we're going to dive into is Eric Edholmes of NFL.com. This was actually his 2.0 mock draft, so I want to make sure I give credit to him for that. I went over this, and there were a few surprises within this. He had Abdul Carter actually going number 2 to the Browns. No shock there. But number 3, he actually had Travis Hunter going to the Giants. And he had, in a weird twist, the Patriots taking Armand Membu, tackle out of Missouri. Now, honestly, I don't think that that's weird that he would have, that people were kind of thinking the Patriots may take a tackle. You do need tackles to protect Drake May. Drake May is your franchise quarterback so far, as you can see. So you definitely want to make sure that he's upright and that he has, the necessary, protection that he's going to need to continue to be the best quarterback he could be. That being said, I think that's a stretch that Armand Membu might go there. I don't think Membu is going to be that high, especially to the Patriots. Number 5, he had the Jags taking Tyler Warren. Number 6, you had Ashton Genty. He had Mason Graham, defensive lineman out of Michigan, going to the Jets at number 7. I don't think that that's true either. I think the Jets are looking for a skill position guy. Maybe a defensive end. Maybe. I definitely think it's possible, but I don't think Mason Graham, again, not a bad pick. I don't think he's a bad pick, but I just don't think Mason Graham is the guy there at that spot. Number 9, Shamar Stewart for the Saints, going to the Saints. I definitely don't see that happening. I think the Saints are definitely going quarterback in that spot. Number 10, he's got the Bears taking Will Campbell, tackle out of LSU. I do like that projection. Going forward, though, like I said, 49ers, he's got the 49ers taking Jalen Walker, out of Georgia. I like that move, but they need more than just a linebacker. I know he's trying to get the Fred Warner replacement there, but they Drake Greenlaw, excuse me. They need way more than just that. So, not sure. A bit of a stretch there. Now, a bit of a shock here. He had the Cowboys taking Omarion Hampton at number 12. I don't think the Cowboys are taking a running back that high. I've seen several drafts, and I'll get into this in this episode. I've seen several mock drafts that have the Cowboys taking a running back that high. I don't think the Cowboys are taking a running back that high. I think they're going to go offensive or defensive line, honestly, got truth. But they do in this mock draft. Eric at home has the Cowboys selected Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Thanks. Number 13, he's got Will Johnson, the elite cornerback out of Michigan, going to the Miami Dolphins. I like that move a lot. If that happens, I like that move a lot. Number 14, the Colts. He's got the Colts looking at Colson Loveland, a tight end out of Michigan. Now, there's where the spice and the sexiness in his mock draft comes in. At number 15, he has the Browns making a trade with the Atlanta Falcons to secure Shedeur Sanders. Now, bit of a stretch here. Now, it's possible, but it's just more or less a hypothetical, but let's play. The Browns would essentially have to give up high picks in this, which would be, and it's kind of crazy. They would have to give up second round pick, third round pick. Now, the second round is number 33 overall. Round 3, number 67. And round 4, number 104. And that would be able to help them secure Shedeur Sanders in a trade. I think that is a lot. It's feasible, but I just think that is a very, 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 very high ransom to pay. But when you're Cleveland and you've dealt with the debacle of Deshaun Watson and your only real successes come from, an old Joe Flacco within the past few years and Baker Mayfield before that, you're kind of reaching. You need as much help. You need that injection of youth and hope as much as possible. So, like the trade, if that does happen, that'd be great. Don't think it'll happen, though. I don't think that Atlanta. I think Atlanta in that spot, Atlanta wants to get, if they can move up, they'd be happy. But Atlanta wants to get the best player they possibly can. But I also understand, too, because Atlanta's in a situation where securing more picks would be great for them as well. I mean, they have picks in every single round, but it doesn't hurt to have more draft picks. Number 20, the Broncos. At home has the Broncos taking Teteroa McMillan, big body wide receiver out of Arizona. He's got Kenneth Grant, going to the Steelers at 21. 22, he's got an interesting pick here. Donovan Ezaraku, edge rusher out of Boston College, going to the Chargers. Number 23, we got the Packers. Now, this one, I understand why people say this, but I just don't see Brian Gutekunst making a move like this. Number 23, you got the Packers selecting Matthew Golden out of Texas. Don't see that. Don't see that at all. Not with the Packers' history and how they draft. Don't see that at all. Number 24. Now, this one was interesting. Shout out to the Bird Gang. Fly Eagles Fly. They got the Eagles jumping up to number 24, making a trade with the Minnesota Vikings to secure Malachi Starks, which I think that would be very interesting because Malachi Starks has already been in on a visit. He stated as much this morning on the Rich Eisen show. Definitely implore y'all to check that out. But he said he's had a visit with the Eagles and the Ravens already. So interesting. I definitely think he will fit in the defense. Obviously, he played with all those guys too that's currently on the team. I mean, it looks very Georgia-ish. It looks like Howie might essentially try to line up all these Georgia guys and just win championships with them. And why the fuck not? Going a bit further, they also had number 31, because I jumped throughout this, because a lot of the picks were pretty much standard, run-of-the-mill, copy-paste picks. But I wanted to more or less touch on the picks that I thought, were the most eye-popping in his mock draft. And then to round up the last two, he has some trades. Obviously, I said the Eagles, in this previous one, the Eagles, he has making a trade with the Vikings going to 24. at 31, the Rams. The Rams would have traded with Kansas City Chiefs, and he has them taking fastest man in the world, jokingly, but very fast, safety Nick Amanuwari out of South Carolina. Now, I gotta admit, Amanuwari, he looks the part. I like him. However, I don't know how, if Kansas City wants to make that move. I don't think Kansas City is necessarily averse to making the move to not trading, but more or less, I don't know if they'd be willing to give up the Rams to allow them to get a player like that. I mean, Amanuwari, he might be a guy that can fit out with Kansas City. I'm not so sure if you're Kansas City, you'd be quick to just give that spot up, because if that trade does happen, that does help the Rams defense, very, very soon, very, very quickly. In number 32, he had the Vikings getting what I would think would be one of the steals of the draft, of getting Maxwell Harrison, cornerback out of Kentucky. And like I said, that's Eric Edholm's mock draft. I'm going to go next to another one. This next mock draft was from Lance Zierlein of nfl.com. And again, like I said, check all these mock drafts out on nfl.com. Highlighting the picks here. I wanted to start at number 4 in his mock draft. At number 4, he's got the Patriots taking Will Campbell. So that's another mock draft where they got the Patriots taking an offensive lineman. Looks like there's possibly a strong theme there where they may be taking a tackle of some sorts, some way, somehow. I just definitely don't think it's Armand Membu. Nonetheless, number 5, they have the Jacksonville Jaguars getting defensive tackle Mason Graham, which I think would definitely be a great selection for the Jaguars. They definitely need a guy like that. And at number 6, he's got the Raiders taking Jalen Walker, linebacker out of Georgia. I can see that. Especially with Pete Carroll being in charge. Pete Carroll loves defense. I definitely can see that being a possibility. Number 7, now this is more likely for Armand Membu going to the Jets. Again, I do think the Jets, I can see them draft the offensive lineman. They need linemen badly, especially as that last season played out, where you had a bunch of old men in their starting offensive line. It kind of really didn't work out at all. No shock. Maybe to them it was, but no shock to the rest of the world. Number 8, got interesting here. They got the Panthers taking Michael Williams out of Georgia, edge rusher. I definitely think that the Panthers could use a guy like that, but I think the Panthers need to go after a skill position player. They need a guy that Bryce Young can get the ball to. He doesn't really have anybody outside of Adam Thielen. I know they got Leggett from South Carolina last year. He's starting to come into his own, but outside of old Adam Thielen, who's 400 years old at this point, and Leggett, who's young and just going into his second season, you need somebody else to pair it with him. You need another skill position guy. Going a bit further, number 9, you got the Saints taking Jahad Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama. Again, I disagree with this. I definitely think the Saints possibly be taking a quarterback, but nonetheless, just give me the information. Number 10, he's got the Bears taking Ashton Jeanty, which I think would be very interesting because, in all honesty, DeAndre Swift was still good for them last year, but getting Ashton Jeanty with DeAndre Swift is interesting. I just don't think the Bears make a selection for a running back that high. Definitely could use younger offensive linemen. Definitely could use another linebacker. Definitely could use another corner. Maybe even another wide receiver. But I don't see them grabbing a running back in that spot. Nonetheless, number 12, Lance Zierlein has the Cowboys taking Matthew Golden out of Texas. Definitely don't see this at all. See them going into the trenches on this pick when this selection comes on the board next Thursday. Going a bit further, this one was interesting. Number 14, Colts. Another mock draft where you have the Colts taking a tight end. Tyler Warren out of Penn State, which I think for the Colts would be a great asset. I think Tyler Warren would be a great pickup for them. Now, another interesting pick, number 18, you got the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle getting Teteroa McMillan at wide receiver from Arizona. I think Seattle could definitely use him, especially if they're losing DK Metcalf. They need a guy with that size and that length to definitely be on the outside. Number 19, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers getting Shamar Stewart, edge rusher out of Texas A&M. He screams Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Number 20, you got the Denver. He has Denver Broncos selecting a Marion Hampton running back out of North Carolina. I could definitely see that. That's a strong possibility. Interesting one here. Number 21, he has the Rams via trade with the Steelers. So Steelers trading out of that spot. And he has the Rams selecting Jahdae Brown, cornerback out of Texas. I could definitely see, if Jahdae Brown's available, I could definitely see the Rams trying to get him. That's if the buzz for him is up there like that. I have seen Jahdae Barron's name on a lot of draft boards. I'm not seeing a lot of fluctuation as far as the top 15 picks, so we'll see. Or at least, possibly definitely in the top 20, top 22, but I don't know about top 10 or top 15. Going further, number 22, he has the Los Angeles Chargers taking tight end Colston Loveland, and obviously this just screams, Jim Harbaugh ties. That's strictly why, this selection might be made. Number 23, he's got the Packers selecting Siobhan Revel Jr., cornerback out of East Carolina. Again, I see the Packers possibly going into the trenches in this draft. I don't see them, going corner or wide receiver in the first round. Number 24, they got the Browns trading with the Vikings. So the Vikings have been in that 24 spot where they made a trade with the Browns. Browns in this trade, in this scenario, secured Shedeur Sanders. Now, I think it's hilarious because this is the second mock draft that you've seen me go over now where they have Shedeur Sanders getting selected by the Browns later in the draft, either somewhere between Atlanta and Minnesota. So they definitely feel like he's not a top 15 pick, but he's definitely a first round pick. So we'll see. We'll see how all this plays out. But you got to definitely pay attention to the tendencies of what these guys are saying within these mock drafts. They most of the time they're dead fucking wrong. But these guys that I'm following, they do have a tendency of being right. So I'm kind of just showing you the patterns too of how they're going about the players and what they think the position and where the team may select at that slot. Number 26, like I said, the Steelers, obviously with that trade with the Rams that I stated earlier, swapping out of the 21st spot to the 26th. The Steelers would have selected defensive tackle Derek Harmon out of Oregon. I think that would be a tremendous move for the Steelers. They were to get him. That's pretty much, potentially the Cam Hayward replacement. So I like that. Number 27, he had the Ravens selecting Nick Amanawari out of South Carolina. Not a shock there. They've already, like I stated, looked at Malachi Starks. I'm pretty sure Nick Amanawari is somebody they definitely would be interested in or want to look at. Number 30, Buffalo Bills. Now, I don't believe Donovan Ezaraku will fall this far, but in Lance Zierlein's draft, he has Donovan Ezaraku fall into the Buffalo Bills at number 30. And last but not least, this seems to be some old coaching love here. It says in Lance Zierlein's mock draft, the Saints and Kellen Moore and the Saints would essentially be making a trade with Philadelphia so the Saints could go and secure their quarterback. And he would have the Saints selecting Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss. I don't see Kellen Moore making a move like that. I see Kellen Moore definitely trying to get a quarterback. I think if he was to get a quarterback, it's not Jackson Dart. And I know that people are they've heard Daniel Jeremiah use the Jalen Hurts comparison, things like that. Totally different quarterbacks. Going a bit further, we're going to get to Bucky Brooks' mock draft. Now, this was Bucky Brooks' 3.0 mock draft. Article. He also had another great article that I would implore you to check out. It was on Will Johnson, Luther Burden III, and Malachi Starks on players as you shouldn't overthink. Definitely Luther Burden III because he's a fucking burner. I think he's definitely somebody that can go high in this draft if you're not thinking clearly or forgetting about him. But nonetheless, like I said, diving some more into Bucky Brooks' 3.0 mock draft. He has the Browns taking Shedeur Sanders at number 2. Be that as it may. Number 4, he's got the Patriots taking Abdul Carter. Definitely a shocking twist compared to what I've seen in a lot of the mock drafts. They usually have Travis Hunter there. Number 7, he's got the Jets taking Tyler Warren. Number 8, the Panthers selecting Jalen Walker at edge rusher. Again, it's another mock draft where you see they got the Panthers going after an edge rusher. Number 9, you got the Saints going after offensive tackle Will Campbell. Again, I don't think so, but is it plausible? Yeah, because again, he just came out of a system where it's built through the trenches. So could definitely see Kellen Moore possibly doing that. Iffy though. Number 10, you got the Bears going after Omarion Hampton. So this is another mock draft where you see that somebody's saying that the Bears are going to be looking at a running back in that spot, a playmaker. As we go a bit further, number 11, you got the 49ers. And now this one's interesting. In Bucky Brooks' mock draft, he has Jahdae Barron from Texas going to the 49ers. I do think that would be a good pickup for the 49ers. Number 12, as far as the Dallas Cowboys, he has them picking Armand Membu, which I think is more in line with what Dallas likes to do compared to a lot of sexy, flashy picks that most people think that Dallas wants to make, but is completely bullshitting and capping about. Nonetheless, we're going to go a bit further. Number 13, Dolphins. They have in this mock draft selecting Kelvin Banks Jr., tackle out of Texas. Number 14, Colts selecting offensive guard Tyler Booker. And Booker is out of Alabama, just so you guys know. Number 15, he has the Falcons selecting edge rusher Mike Green out of Marshall, who looks like a fucking dog, a complete fucking go-get-him savage out there. Go gadget, get to the quarterback type edge rusher. I like his game a lot. Going a bit further here, give me 1 second. Then we have the Cardinals, Walter Nolan at defensive tackle from Ole Miss. I like a lot of the tape that I saw from Walter Nolan, but there was a lot of hit or miss, so it does have me a little bit precarious there. But in this mock draft, he does have him fall into that spot, to the 16th spot. 17, like I said, Bengals selecting Shamar Stewart, edge rusher out of Texas A&M. Plausible, definitely plausible, with the losses they've had to on the defense this offseason. Number 18, the Seahawks. They got John Snyder and the Seahawks selecting Gray Zabel, offensive line and guard from North Dakota State University. Was clearly a raw athlete, one of the best players in that school's history, let alone, just having the attributes that he had. So this guy is definitely going to be a beast. Definitely somebody you should definitely keep an eye on. Number 20, this is another situation where they got the Broncos selecting a skill position player, but this time they got them selecting running back Travion Henderson. Why? I have no idea. That just seems like some shot in the dark type shit. Not sure how that worked out. But looking to get out this weekend, looking to take your spouse out, have a great time with some friends, then look no further than the #1 leading ticket seller and reseller in the world, StubHub. #1 seller in the world for live events, tickets, shows, and concerts, StubHub. Then you got number 23, the Packers selected Will Johnson. I don't think Will Johnson's going to slide that far, but if, let's say, miraculously he does, shout out to the Packers for securing him in this hypothetical scenario, of course. Number 24, you got the Vikings selected Nick Amanawari. So this is a couple times now you've heard Vikings, looking at safety or possibly looking at this player. Number 26, they have the Rams selecting Ted McMillan, Teteroa McMillan. If he gets line him up with Puka Nacua, that shit's just like cheating, so we'll see. Also, number 27, you got the Ravens looking at Mykel Williams, edge rusher. Now, this is the first mock draft I've seen where they got Mykel Williams slated down and lesser in some of these, later in the first round. A lot of mock drafts I had him being selected early, but this is the first one I've seen where Bucky Brooks had him being selected by the Ravens at number 27. Number 29, you got the Commanders selecting Matthew Golden, wide receiver from Texas. That I could definitely see because they need to get somebody with Scary Terry. I'm just not sure if it's that guy. May just be, like I said, a product of default. But last but not least, number 32, got the Philadelphia Eagles selecting Donovan Ezaraku. I touched on this on the Eagles mock draft episode or pre-draft visit episode. I definitely think Donovan Ezaraku is a guy that the Eagles would definitely want to look into. I think he's twitchy, good hands, good range. Definitely somebody I think the Eagles can utilize, especially in that Vic Fangio system. And rounding up the mock drafts, last but not least, we're going to get into Charles Davis's mock draft 2.0. Old head vets, they're no longer in a rush to just type away. They're very methodical in how they go about their mock drafts, and I love Charles Davis for that. But getting into this, I was pissed with him because he more or less looked at team needs and didn't really evaluate any potential trades or anything. It's pretty cookie cutter, but like, couple of things we could touch on. He had Armand Membu going to the Jaguars at 5, possibility. Think they're probably going defense, though. Number 11, he's got Mike Green going to the 49ers. I think that's definitely a good possibility. Let's see here. 12, Teteroa McMillan going to the Cowboys. Fuck no. Pipe dream, something to just talk about. 15, Michael Williams, strong chance, possibly. 17, Kenneth Grant with the Bengals, could have went left. Number 18, the Seahawks, Johnny Barron. Let's see here. Seattle needs a corner. Let's see, Chargers. Matthew Golden, wide receiver from Texas. Packers, Derek Harmon. You got Malachi Starks going to the Vikings at 24. Pretty much running about that. There's a name in here. The reason I'm bringing all this up, there's a name in here that it really piqued my interest because I hadn't heard his name throughout the process, and I wasn't sure if he was going to be there this year. Emeka Egbuka, possibly going to the Commanders. I like his game a lot. I'm not an Ohio State fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I like the way this guy played. Tenacious, tough catch, tough yards after the catch. Definitely somebody I think that could prosper in today's NFL. That's going to do it for this mock draft episode, guys. Again, I thank you as always for sharing, subscribing. Check the show out on all the different platforms. Like I said, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Patreon, Podbean. I love you guys, and thank you for spending this evening with me on this episode and commemorating this year anniversary of the show, and many more years to come. I love you. Have a great rest of your night, and continue to subscribe.